Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there this morning and having a fantastic start to your day and a great start to your week. Here to bring you the latest information on what's going to happen weather-wise for your Monday. The big topic in this morning's video is going to be severe weather. So we'll actually do this video a little bit differently than we do in the morning videos and actually go right into that after we speak a little bit more on like the watches and warnings and all those things. But we have a big time winter weather side of this too. We have the ongoing blizzard across areas of like the middle of the country. We have snow basically falling from like sections of the panhandle of Texas all the way up into the UP of Michigan this morning. So there's a lot going on even this morning. But like I said, severe weather will become the big topic in the weather world for the lower 48 as we get later on into this afternoon, just because it does have the risk to impact people's lives in a much more negative way than winter weather does. So yeah, we'll speak on all of it. We'll get detailed just like we always do. Definitely take advantage of those timestamps. Everything will be sectioned out very well for you folks to take advantage of. So with that being said, let's get rocking and rolling. So like I said, we do have a lot of snow falling out there. We had snow falling in Colorado, western Kansas. I mean, even some snow starting to fall in the panhandle of Oklahoma, areas of Texas. And then we have snow still falling in areas of South Dakota and a lot of snow up here in Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and even areas of the UP of Michigan. We got rain in this area. We're going to have what we call a cold core set up in Iowa that develops today. Even areas of Missouri could see it too. We'll have a little a segment for that also. And then you see all the rain, showers, even some storms ongoing in areas of Texas, even up into southeastern Oklahoma, Arkansas. These will continue to move from west to east, start to get into Louisiana, Mississippi, where they basically will move into an environment that will be much more ripe for severe weather. So as we get later into the morning hours, the afternoon hours, the atmosphere will become much more unstable in Louisiana and Mississippi as we move throughout the next several hours. So that's what's going on right now. The immediate eastern U.S. is pretty quiet. The western U.S. pretty quiet also. Not a whole lot going on today with just some scattered moisture across the west, but we'll speak on that. The excessive rainfall outlook, notice we did skip the Storm Prediction Center outlook. We're going to talk about that here in a second. So I'm just going to have a separate huge segment for that for you folks in the Deep South. There is a slight risk from southern sections of Missouri all the way into Alabama, all the way down to Louisiana. We have a slight risk for flash flood guidance being met, for exceeding flash flood guidance, which means we have a 15% risk of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance within 25 miles in a given location in this yellow area right here. If you notice, I get a little tongue twisted in this video, skip a couple words, kind of mash words together that don't make sense. It's because I've had to start this video over about 20 times this morning and just could not get with the rhythm, can't get with the flow to save my life. So if you notice any hiccups with my wording, typically the more I struggle starting the video, that means typically the uglier the delivery of the video is going to be once I do get going. So let's keep going. I'm talking too much. So you see all these winter weather alerts across the middle of the country. Blizzard warnings continue for areas in Nebraska, several counties in Kansas, a few counties in Colorado. Winter storm warnings up here for the northern half of Minnesota, Wisconsin. We have a lot of wind advisories up for this kind of sand, kind of tan color, if you will. We do have some high wind warnings in one county in Arkansas and a couple counties in the Boot Hill, Missouri, and also the western spine, the southern Appalachian Mountains here in Tennessee. We will continue to have gusty winds down here in southwest Texas. We do have another fire danger risk today across this area, so definitely be aware of that. Some red flag warnings in the pink. Winter weather advisories, guys, all the way down here to the panhandle of Texas, where some snow will be falling in this area of the country by the time some of you folks watch this video. So pretty wild storm. I mean, it's not totally unusual. Typically, we get very dynamic storm systems in the spring. It's not honestly super rare at all. But okay, so here we go. This is the severe weather outlook. We're going to kind of dive deeper into this. Now, I want to remind you guys, on the day of a severe weather event, typically we have changes like every 3 or 4 hours. I don't expect this to upgrade to a moderate risk. The enhanced risk has changed since last night's video a little bit. It's been kind of pulled a little bit further eastward. But as of right now, we have an enhanced risk in this orange area, level 3 out of 5. Slight risk in the yellow, level 2 out of 5. Marginal risk in the dark green. That's a level 1 out of 5. So the enhanced risk does include areas like Vicksburg, Jackson, Natchez, Mississippi, Alexandria, pretty much Monroe up to Greenville. It looks like it extends all the way almost to Hattiesburg. Doesn't look like it quite makes it, but this could get extended a little bit further southeast. Looks like it does get to Meridian. So why do we have this enhanced risk? Well, if we continue to move forward, we have a 10% risk of a tornado within 25 miles of any given location in this yellow area. Not only do we have a 10% risk of a tornado in this yellow area, we also have a chance at strong tornadoes, which means we have a 10% risk also of an EF2 or higher tornado within 25 miles of any given location in this yellow area. Okay, brown area, there's a 5% risk of a tornado. Not strong tornadoes, just a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles of a given location. Just remember, if you're in this brown and green area, that doesn't mean you're not going to get a tornado. It's just they're thinking this is going to be the area where you have the highest risk. Okay? And then you look at the severe wind outlook. Okay, you do have an enhanced risk driven off this too. You have in the red area a 30% chance of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour within 25 miles in any given location. Includes everybody in that enhanced risk that I just mentioned a couple minutes ago. Yellow, there's a 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. All right, so last night I kind of left Texas hanging a little bit, so we're going to get you covered here. Don't focus too much on the snow. I'll talk a little bit more on that here in a second. But we keep this rolling here. We're going to start off this morning. And by the way, this is what the radar looks like out of areas of Texas this morning. We do have some lightning, thunder ongoing, some storms in the Waco area. I have no idea why somebody in Waco is reporting freezing rain and ice. That's definitely a false report, that's for sure. But these storms will continue to move eastward. So Shreveport, Texarkana, Monroe, Lufkin, all you guys are going to end up, Tyler, are going to end up getting storms here in the coming hours. Okay, so we go back to the latest HRRR model. And really, just focus on this section of your screen. So if you live in Mary, I know you live here in Northeast Texas, you guys, these storms could really start to peak in intensity later this morning. This is around 10, 11 a.m. here in the next couple hours. Storms are looking pretty intense in the Texarkana region. They're starting to rumble through here in eastern Texas. And then they start to really pick up some intensity around lunchtime right after they kind of head out of Texas. So it looks like the worst of your weather is going to be throughout the morning into maybe an hour or two after after lunchtime today. And then once you get deeper into the afternoon, the severe weather threat's pretty much done. But the updraft Felicity swath does indicate a highlight area here in northeast Texas, so where you could get some rotating thunderstorms. And this is what we call the updraft Felicity swath. And this particular run of the HRRR model is showing rotation with these storms that it does show in this area right in here. So please be aware of these rotating thunderstorms. If your county gets under, or your area gets under a tornado warning, take it serious. Even if it might be 15 miles up the road, take it serious, because you just never quite know. Now, we move a little bit further east into the deep south. This is going to include Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, etc. Okay, we start off around 7, 8 a.m. Already got some storms ongoing, and that's pretty much right now. But as we start to move into around midday, lunchtime, storms rumbling through the western half of Arkansas. Some storms starting to enter the picture here in northern Louisiana. And I do think we'll get some nasty storms, or at least a potential for some nasty storms in like Shreveport, probably early this afternoon. But you see these storms cutting through Arkansas. I think once you get into central to northern Arkansas, certainly up into Missouri, I think the severe weather threat significantly drops off. But one thing I want you to notice, and what's going to take it all the way to about 4 p.m., this is when the tornado threat area will start to come into the picture. You're starting to see these storms. Look how they're more of a line segment up here in Arkansas. But if you notice down here in Louisiana, starting to get into Mississippi, they're starting to break up into little segments, kind of little areas, more of like kind of semi-discrete cells, thunderstorms. And that's what we're concerned with. And, you look around the Alexandria region, the Monroe area, starting to move into the Natchez, Mississippi region. This is when the concern starts to build here. And then we start to get into about 6, 7 p.m. These start to move over the Mississippi River, start to, flirt with Jackson at this point, really move into that area. Rolling Fork, I know yesterday was the 1-year anniversary. You guys got hit. The town pretty much got almost pretty much destroyed by those tornadoes a year ago. And then, you know, a year ago to the day and another day, we're dealing with another severe weather threat. And you guys in Rolling Fork are right in the heart of this severe weather threat. So please be aware. I know you guys are. There's a lot of areas in this area that I'm showing you right now that's at least lives near someone that's being impacted by a tornado. You know, the Deep South has really became like the new tornado alley. You know, they get just as many tornadoes in the Deep South as you do in the middle of the country in Tornado Alley. So we keep this going. And, I mean, look at all these little clusters of storms. You see how they all have kind of that kidney bean look to them, kind of that bending look to them? That, to me, tells me you're definitely going to have some rotating storms. And, I mean, even up here in Memphis, some nasty storms are going to roll through the area, even into, like, western areas of Tennessee. The low-level jet will be ramping up in this area, so you're going to have some strong winds, even to the surface where you're at. But, you know, you start to get into 10, 11 p.m., the sun is setting, and we will still have this ongoing tornado threat going on, especially for the southern half of Mississippi into southeast Louisiana, guys. I mean, these storms still look dangerous to me based off this run of the HRRR model. A lot of storms making its way through the western half of Tennessee, starting to make its way into northwestern Alabama. And look at these storms starting to move into the Meridian area, Hattiesburg down here, getting hit by storms, still an ongoing tornado threat. I mean, this is about 4 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning at this point. But then they start to kind of lose some intensity as they get into Alabama, and I do think the severe weather threat does significantly drop off. Now, you look at the updraft velocity swath from the latest long-range HRRR model. It does like the southern half of Mississippi the most for the chance of rotating thunderstorms, also in areas of southeastern Louisiana, even getting into western sections of Alabama. This is the area that it's thinking the worst is going to be. But you look at the latest NAM also, and it's more scattered about. Okay, you're showing it some in colored areas in here in northern Louisiana and even in southeast Arkansas. So definitely some rotating storms. Just because a storm is rotating, though, doesn't mean we're necessarily going to get a tornado. But if you look at the significant tornado parameter, remember, some people look at this and they get the wrong idea. But just think of this as the higher the numbers you see, 3s and 5s, the better the ingredients for tornadic activity. So it really begins to spike here in areas of eastern Louisiana, and then eventually into western sections and southwestern areas of Mississippi as we're getting into this evening. And then, you know, we could have an area we watch out for tomorrow morning around Mobile, getting into the western panhandle of Florida for tornado risk. But, you know, you look at the ingredients from this, and we'll kind of breeze through this fast. Thermodynamic of low-level moisture is there. Okay, this moist sector builds in, pretty much already building into Louisiana already this morning, but it'll really begin to build into Mississippi. You see these dew points in the 60s, even some low 70s pooling down here in southern Louisiana. But certainly plenty of low-level moisture in the area. This is a thermodynamic you can check off the box for severe weather. And this continues to be in place, and this starts to move into Alabama, where kind of that moist sector begins to shrink somewhat. There's not really much of a pooling mechanism to the north anymore because it's getting far enough north to where it's not pulling as much moisture into the area. Then you look at the CAPE values, what about the storm energy in the atmosphere? You see areas down here reaching 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram, already building down here in southern sections of Louisiana. And look how it builds here, basically in the heart of Louisiana. You got this area of CAPE over 1,000 joules per kilogram, building all the way up into the far southeast corner of Arkansas. And then look how it crosses the Mississippi River. We got to watch down here. Natchez, watch up the Mississippi River near Jackson. It looks like the CAPE levels begin to drop off once you start to get into Mississippi. But remember, this doesn't always tell the story. What I mean is the short-range model guidance don't always have it right. I think we'll have a lot more energy in the atmosphere than maybe what this is showing, but we'll see. Next thing you look at is the kinematics. This is the low-level jet winds, about a mile above our heads in the atmosphere. And we are definitely going to have an increasing low-level jet, especially up in Arkansas and even Mississippi. But you don't need a whole lot. See this area right here? We got a 50 to 60 knot low-level jet winds moving at almost interstate speed about a mile above our heads here in Mississippi. So plenty of forcing in the atmosphere, plenty of wind energy in the atmosphere to drive this tornado threat in this area and this wind threat, this high wind threat, damaging wind threat, okay? So please be aware, take this serious today in the Deep South. I know you guys do, and you should. And, you guys have been devastated by tornadoes it seems like someone gets hit very hard by tornadoes at least once every spring. So let's hope that this is not the case today. It's been relatively quiet if you compare it to the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years across the Deep South this March. So let's hope that this does not materialize. But the rest of the Southeast today, of course, we've already spoke on this, but the rest of the Southeast today is pretty quiet. It'll be a nice day from Georgia, the Carolinas, and Florida. It'll be a cool day. A little bit of cool air still lingering around after a pretty chilly start this morning. But as you can tell, the weather does start to enter your picture as you're getting your Tuesday morning. You're waking up to rains across areas of like the Cumberland Plateau, eastern Tennessee, waking up to rain in Atlanta. Hasn't quite really entered the Carolinas yet, but as we get into tomorrow, we will start to deal with some rain across Georgia. But the severe weather threat tomorrow is not going to be near as high. But rainfall from this between now and the next 24 hours, a couple inches of rain's on the way. Someone can get 3 inches of rain in Mississippi and Alabama. If you go on and extend this, all the way into your Wednesday morning, a lot of rain on the way for the state of Alabama and even into Georgia. Arkansas is going to get a couple inches of rain today too. So just kind of scattered about, but this is the general area where the most rain will fall. The rest of the country, the Northeast, quiet weather. You're going to get some snow melt today. Area's got over 2 feet of snow up here in the interior areas of the Northeast. Fast moving system begins to move into the picture, but between now and the next 24 hours, very quiet. Ohio will get some rain into the after midnight tonight, probably. No severe weather expected. But then some rain will start to move into western PA and areas of northern West Virginia and Kentucky into the overnight hours. Maybe a little bit of freezing rain you wake up to in areas of kind of southern Maine tomorrow morning. We'll see. The south central U.S., we're going to get some snow flying around out there where Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, and southeast Colorado and southwest Kansas meet. Just some snow just kind of flying around, going to add up a couple more inches of snow. Some of the snow could drift all the way over to like Woodward, Oklahoma. And then we do watch some additional thunderstorms that do develop. I don't want to leave you guys hanging in eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma. Some storms could form right in here. In fact, there's a threat of severe weather once you get up to near like Kansas City. But it's snowing pretty good across the western sections of Kansas. And snowing still, like in the western Oklahoma, the panhandle of Oklahoma, and Texas. So we will watch these storms that get going right into here. A lot of cold air intrusion to work with, so you're probably going to have an elevated hail threat into this area. And then this will swing through, and we'll still be dealing with a little bit of light snow in the panhandle of Texas overnight, and some snow could fly around up here. So snowfall between now and the next 30 hours. A few inches of snow is possible in western areas of Kansas. Really anywhere. Maybe more once you get into the northwestern sections of Kansas. But, a couple inches of snow is possible in the northern panhandle of Texas, the panhandle of Oklahoma, and then several inches of snow in the higher elevations of southern Colorado and northern New Mexico. So definitely some more snow on the way, some blustery conditions. Could get brief whiteout conditions in these areas. So definitely a couple inches of late season snow on the way. You get up here to the north central U.S., couple things going on. Ongoing snow will continue in the northern half of Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. You'll start to mix in the UP of Michigan. Still got this back end kind of area of snow kind of pivoting through areas of eastern South Dakota, southeastern North Dakota. It'll continue to snow throughout the day in central Nebraska. Snow's going to still add up. We already talked about Kansas. Then look at this nasty line of storms kind of developing and making its way through western Iowa and eventually western areas of Missouri, and just rain surging through Wisconsin as, you got the low pressure basically riding overhead, so a lot of warm air mixing to the surface. So you're going to get some rapid snow melt in these areas as you're just going to get good old rain. Same thing with Minneapolis. Whatever snow you got, as you're just going to rain on top of it. Heavy rain down here in Iowa. Just a weird storm. And then this continues. We take it all the way to tomorrow morning. Heavy rain in the UP of Michigan tomorrow morning. Heavy rain up here where it's snowing like crazy in northern Wisconsin tomorrow morning. So you're getting snow this morning and heavy rain tomorrow. Still snowing up here in the northern sections of Minnesota. And then I think you'll switch to some back-end snow in like Minneapolis tomorrow morning as some cold air kind of wraps in behind it. But snowfall between now and the rest of this event, another 8 to 12 inches of snow is possible in Nebraska, right down here. I don't have these individual graphics pulled up, didn't have quite the time to pull that up this morning. But, eastern South Dakota, 3 to 6 inches of snow. You have this area right in here that's 6 to 8, and then another 8 to 12 inches of snow. 6 to 12 inches of snow is possible for the northern half of Minnesota. And then you look at the freezing rain totals. Some glazing of ice is still possible out here in these regions right in here. You go back to this, and I don't want to leave my folks in the UP of Michigan hanging. Another several inches of snow in the far northern sections of Wisconsin, another couple inches of snow in the UP of Michigan, really speaking of the western UP of Michigan. But you guys up here in northeast Minnesota, another foot and a couple inches of snow is expected here. Winds will continue to be going on. That's why you can still got, the blizzard warnings in Nebraska and areas of South Dakota. 40, 45, 50 mile per hour wind gusts are possible in this area. All right. And, don't want to forget about this marginal risk here in these areas here. And I know I've already kind of spoke on this, but there will be a severe weather threat for like Omaha to Des Moines down to Kansas City. And if we take a look at what the radar could look like today in this region, here's these storms that form. Kansas City right in here. Some storms could impact you guys around 6, 7, 8 p.m. Could produce some hail, maybe a little bit of a tornado risk. Omaha could have a tornado risk. And then these kind of move on out. Then you could actually get a little bit of snow as we're waking up tomorrow morning and Kansas City. And then we move up here to Iowa. Some of these storms right into here develop in eastern Iowa. I mean, they could be anywhere in eastern Iowa. They could produce a quick spin up, kind of one of those cold core setups that typically have a chance to overachieve. But there's going to be a corridor right into here that could get pretty wild today with some strong to severe storms. Just a marginal risk, but please be aware if you live in western Iowa. I think I keep saying eastern Iowa. Western Iowa, and then these areas right in here. You could have some hail, and then you also could have a tornado threat, and then you can actually switch to snow tomorrow morning. There's a chance someone could get a tornado here and then snow tomorrow morning. Tornado this afternoon, snow tomorrow morning. Pretty wild stuff. Going to have to speed this up, but the western U.S. is very quiet this morning. We're just going to get some scattered rains, scattered snows in the Cascades, the northern to central Rockies. Some snow could drift around out there across the region. Not very active at all. Really isn't. You look at how much snow could pile up over the next, this is the next 48 hours, I believe. And, just a few inches of snow in the higher elevations of the Rockies and the Cascades. Temperatures, kind of this bubble, huge bubble of warmer air in the Ohio Valley, 60s and 70s. Enjoy it. Cooler down here in the southeast because some cold air damming from the north. It'll warm up ahead of this. Look at this little pocket of warm air that kind of drives a severe weather threat all the way up into Iowa. And then it's warmer in the 60s and 70s in the deep south. And then out west, you do have the very cold air across the high plains, the north central U.S., and then a little bit warmer out west. That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Be safe out there. God bless, and I'll talk to you soon.